Hey guys, it's JoJo Fletcher.
And Jordan Rodgers.
And we're finally getting married.
Getting married.
It's happening. It's just crazy to think that we have this whole love story, how we met, how we first started dating, and the crazy circumstance that we were all documented for our children to see one day, for us to be able to look back on. We did just recently kind of start watching clips back from that night that we first met and then the course of the show. But yeah, going back to Jordan on that first night, it was this crazy, weird sense of comfort and peace that I had with him when I first met him. That doesn't mean that I was like 100%. I definitely was still nervous about him for whatever reason. But I knew from the moment we met, the one thing that I can just remember so clearly is there was an ease to that conversation. There was a comfort that I was so nervous that entire first night. And when I was with him, it was more like, I can take a deep breath. Like I feel like I can just talk to this person. So that was something that stood out to me about him. And now look at us.
So it's crazy to think about. What's crazy too is like how close that was to not even happening. I mean, I wasn't seeking out the show. I didn't go through any of the casting process. I mean, literally 10 days before filming started, I got reached out to and had an opportunity. And I'm like, I've never watched it. Didn't know who JoJo was. Wasn't watching the previous show. I was like, sure, I'll pack a bag and see what happens. You know, as a 27-year-old, I was like, okay.
You were down for the ride with whoever it was gonna be.
And yeah, it was, because I hadn't watched the previous season, didn't know who it was supposed to be, and so that probably very easily could have not happened. Looking back now, it's crazy to think.
Coming off the show, like I think the most important thing to us was we need to get back home. We need to get back to something that feels normal, because what we just did for the last 3 months was amazing, and it's been like this roller coaster of fantasies, and like it just was like so much that we knew what was most important was to get back to Dallas where we were gonna live and just disconnect. Like we didn't stay in LA, we didn't do all the events, we didn't do all that stuff. We just came back and we said we need to get to normal life as soon as possible. And so that meant, like Jordan said, like getting back to work. And I had purchased a home to remodel right before I went on the show that I never got to. And I was like, babe, okay, we gotta get back to life. And so he came with me and we remodeled. So we went through this first project together, which remodels are not super easy. They're stressful. And that was like, that started our relationship back at home. And so I do think it was a very active, like conscious decision of us to always stay true to like what felt the most familiar to us. And we knew the importance of that for our relationship. And so we just held on to that and we just did life and we stayed away and we really focused on our relationship. And even when it was hard, like we just worked through it. So yeah, I'm proud of us for the time that we took, because it wasn't always easy, but I do feel like we are now going into our marriage with so much more comfort and peace and strength, that if we would have rushed into it in that first year, then maybe we wouldn't have had getting married. So,
or maybe it wouldn't have worked out, or we didn't build the foundation we needed.
I will say I had no idea he was gonna re-propose. That was not something I ever expected or needed, because our first engagement was our engagement. That was our anniversary that we celebrated for still today. That's our anniversary. So I never expected it. It was when we were actually searching for venues for the wedding that he did this whole thing, and I had no idea. But it just was something that I feel like it was a moment that felt so organic and real that the first time was obviously a real engagement, but it's under production, right? So I knew that he was coming. I had just broken up with somebody else. I had 100 cameras around me.
Sweating in 120 degrees. Joelle Hannah Fletcher. Will you marry me? I think we view them both equally in a way. I don't think the first one, it means any less because we had a second one, but we'd always talked about maybe resetting the ring that we got, because you get to choose, but probably not choose as much as you would not on a TV show and go through the whole process. I think we really wanted that. And so I had always known I wanted to buy my own ring and get one that we had talked about and that she absolutely loved. And so under the guise of kind of, hey, maybe we reset the ring.
It's a tricky one.
I bought a whole completely new ring, and what I really wanted to, not only that we were at a point in our relationship where we were absolutely ready, is that I wanted that excitement again. And I wanted to kind of reset that clock of, okay, let's plan the wedding, right? We know we're both ready for it. We were ready for it. Now we're really ready for it. I wanted that excitement for both of us.
Oh my God. What are you doing? And what was so special about this was it was so raw. And I remember I was like sweating I was still sweating on both engagements. I remember we'd been looking for venues and we were looking at one. I just tossed my hair up in a ponytail, I was sweating. And then he got down on one knee and he started, no, I'm sorry. No, that's not what happened.
I was gonna say before that, it was an area in Malibu.
Oh, yeah.
And we were actually, you could see the Bachelor Mansion from where we were standing. And I kind of just put my arm around her. I'm like, isn't it crazy that like this whole journey started like right there a couple of years ago, and she's kind of like, I'm hot. What can we go? Like, what? It
was awkward because we had the lady giving us the tour of the venue, and I just thought this was a random moment Jordan was taking to just be like really sentimental with me while the lady was like kind of standing in the corner. So I was like, oh babe, that's so sweet. I love you too. Oh, it's hot, right? Like. Yeah. And then I realized where it was going as he started to get down on one knee again. And then I just was like, oh my gosh. And so what we have from that engagement was a shaky iPhone camera video, just him and I, totally unexpected and unplanned. And it was just a cool moment that we didn't have the first time around that we got. We had looked at a couple different venues before arriving at Sunstone, and it was all kind of like in Malibu, and then kind of made our way up into Solvang and Santa Ynez. And I just remember when we first pulled up, I felt like I was in Italy. I was like, this is something that I've never seen here, and it almost takes your breath away. It did for us when we pulled up. And just the organicness of the vineyards and the stone and the color palette.
The character,
it just really stood out to us, and we knew that if we were to choose Sunstone, we'd be able to stay on the property through that weekend, and we thought that was a really cool experience to be able to have with our family with us, and as they're setting up the wedding and like just seeing it kind of come to life, we thought that was a cool thing.
I'm pretty sure like we were halfway through walking in and we kind of were like, this is it.
And it's just, it's so private and it's so beautiful. It took my breath away. I'm a neutral color palette lover, so everything in this wedding is in the neutral color palette. And the venue itself is just filled with these natural colors of the beiges and taupes and creams, but then you have the vineyard, which is all the greenery around it. So you'll see throughout the florals and the decor a nice solid neutral palette with pops of greenery or blushes and pinkies. Very organic, very just immersed in the setting that it's in. So everything kind of goes with what the villa actually looks like.
I re-proposed in August of 2019, and we set a date for June of 2020. Yep. Then the pandemic hit, and so a few months of kind of figuring out when we could do it. I think we're in the same boat as a lot of other couples that were having to cancel or postpone, so we ended up pushing it to May of 2021. At the time, we're like, oh, you know what? We're already living together, we've been engaged for a while, we can push it a year. The world will be back to normal by then. And it wasn't.
And I remember this, and we had to make the decision to cancel in 2021. I remember it was like 1 month before our wedding, right? It was 1 month before when our wedding date was supposed to happen that we had to give the final answer. And our venue at the time was still at a 10-person capacity. So we were like, we just can't do it. So we made the difficult decision to postpone yet another year. And then I remember it was, when was it? They reopened, California reopened up. What was it like?
The week before?
The week before our wedding was supposed to be. So it was like this weird like dagger moment of should we have just like rolled the dice? But at the end of the day, I think we made the decision that gave us the most peace about that day, because having our friends and our family and all of our loved ones was the most important thing to us. So yeah, we made a decision 1 month before 2021 and pushed it to 2022. Well, I picked out my dress in 2019. So, because I thought we were getting married in 2020. So the dress that I'm getting married in is the same dress that I picked out in 2019. It's Ynez de Santo. It is a dress that I didn't even pull off the rack when I saw it. It is not anything like I thought I would wear. I went into trying on wedding dresses thinking like I needed this big ball gown and I just needed it to be huge and bridal and it didn't work for me. And so it is classic. It is just white. It has some off the shoulders, but the train is what is like next level to me. It's this crazy long train. I think it just fit me so well that it was just like that moment like, wow, this already fits me so well. If I feel comfortable in it, I can move in it, I feel light. And there was something about it. I can't even tell you what it was, but I put it on and I was like, I feel the most comfortable in this. And then fast forward 2 years, I kept feeling stressed of, do I even still like this dress? It's been 3 years since I picked it out. I tried to change that dress many times. I tried on 100 more dresses after it. And just nothing felt right. So it is the one, I guess is what they say. And then for my second dress, I wanted it to be totally different. I wanted it to be fun and have a little bit more pizzazz, if you will. So we're having a custom dress made by Jay and Dretta. She's based out of Australia, but it is sparkles with feather and a completely different neckline and a slit, and it's just fun, and I love it, and I feel like, okay, you know what? I picked out a dress in 2019, so it's not new, but it's still such a beautiful dress, and now I'm getting this custom new one, so I feel like I have both of, you know, the two options I could have had, and so very excited about it. As we were talking through how we wanted the wedding day to flow, originally, Jordan and I were not going to do a first look. We both had envisioned that like we wanted that first moment.
We felt pretty strong about it too.
Like very strongly that we didn't want to see each other until we were walking down the aisle. And then after really going through the logistics of the day and realizing timing-wise, this would really help us. But also after sitting down and realizing like having that first look moment and it being as intimate as just him and I, we started to realize that was something that was really special. So we shifted then. So we'll be starting the first moment that we'll see each other is a first look, which is a couple hours before the ceremony is to start. And then guests will arrive and they will go straight into seating down for the ceremony. I think our ceremony is going to be a mix of traditional, very romantic and elegant, but we also have, I think, a modern sort of playful twist to it. We loved the idea of having a strings quartet be at the wedding. We really wanted it to just feel like it's a black tie affair, so we loved that feeling of the strings in the villa, but we loved the idea of also having them play like modern music. So you'll hear some Justin Bieber, some T Swift on the strings. So we wanted it to be playful yet very traditional and elegant. Jordan and the groomsmen and the bridesmaids will be walking down to Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift.
I'm a big Swiftie, so
He's a huge Swiftie fan. I am too. So it was just like the best song ever. And then I will actually walk down to Justin Bieber's Holy on the strings. Yeah. So it's a really cool rendition and not what people would expect, but we love the songs and they're actually so beautiful when played on a string. Yeah. So we're excited about that.
When you hear those songs on strings, it's very whimsical and romantic and then a little playful, and you're like, oh wait, well, that's the song. You know, at first you're kind of like feeling it out, and so
it's fun.
What's after?
Oh, and then we leave to Coldplay's Sky Full of Stars. Yeah. Again on strings. So these are all like some of our favorite songs, but the way that they have it on the strings, it's like it feels completely different. We think our guests will be like, wait, I think I know this song, and then it'd be Justin Bieber.
I have one more groomsman that she has bridesmaids, which I think we wanted to be equal for a while, but it's like, you know, you can't like leave somebody out or add somebody just to do it. So it's a great number. It's a mixture for me of like elementary, high school, college. So
I used to think that like everything had to be equal and perfect. And then what I've realized through the planning process, like just do whatever makes you happy. There is no rules to planning. If you have 10 grooms in and I have 5 bridesmaids, it is what it is. So I started to take the pressure off of feeling I'm such a symmetrical person. I threw that out the window. But yeah, the great thing is like you have friends from all phases of his life, and then same with me. I have my best friend from high school and college, and Becca, who's my best friend from the show. That it's just So we have kind of like all these different friends from different seasons of our life. And
funny thing about my groomsmen, we were the first engaged out of all of them. Since then, all but one has been married, and all but two have kids now or kids on the way. So like I say, you know, we were kind of like the mom and dad of the group. We kind of showed everybody, okay, here's what we're all gonna do, and we wanted to usher everybody through that phase of their life, make sure everyone's good, and now we're gonna get married.
That's our excuse for why it's taken so long.
The ceremony is kind of in the midst of the vineyard. There are these two big, beautiful trees that will be underneath, and then the guests will walk to cocktail hour, which is right in front of the villa.
And then the guests, after cocktail hour, walk through the villa into the backyard of the villa, and that's where the reception will be. Once you go into reception, we're partying. We got a DJ, we're ready to dance, we're kicking off our dresses and suits, and we're changing. Jordan and myself will be doing an outfit change.
Oh, yes.
Jordan himself will be doing an outfit change. So we'll be entering the reception in different kind of more fun outfits.
I mean, if she was gonna do it, I felt like I had to as well, so.
Jordan is stoked about his outfit changes. He's very excited. I think one of our favorite parts of the wedding planning was obviously doing the menu tasting. We ate everything, we loved everything. But once you go into reception, we're actually doing a little bit different of a setup. We have a really long U shape, basically all connected table. So all of our guests will be in a big U with the dance floor in the middle with string lights and canopy and drapery and florals and greenery. And so I feel like when I was envisioning the wedding, I knew I wanted structures, I knew I wanted draping and greenery and florals. And so the way that it came together it's so beautiful. But then we're also doing for dinner a 4-course meal, and the chef it's next level. It's next level. And then for the dessert, we're actually not doing the traditional cut the cake and pass. We are having the chef do his own spin on the desserts.
2 different desserts.
Two different desserts. We'll still do a cake cutting, but it won't be what we pass to the guests. Jordan and I have, for the last 2.5 years, have been thinking about the first dance song.
There's been a handful that we've like, yes, this is the one.
But there is like this sense of pressure because all of our songs that we have together are like not ones that you can really dance to in that way. So we've kind of had to start over. But we landed on, it is the song You're Still the One by Shania Twain, but it's a rendition done by Teddy Swims. So it has this really cool, soulful, sort of raspy tone to it. And if you listen to the lyrics, I remember we've always loved that song, but when we sat down and listened to it together, the words, I mean, resonated so much to us. Like,
us, our journey, and
our life together, and like how it would have been super easy to have given up, but like we made it. And just the words, like it makes me emotional when I think about it, but it's so fitting for us, and I love it, and I love his voice. So it's a classic that I think everyone will know, but it'll be a different version, which I thought was cool. You kind of said something funny. He was like, it's gonna be crazy to be able to call you my wife because for our whole relationship, you've always just been fiance. You were never my girlfriend. And you've always just been my fiance. So to be able to say this is now my wife or my husband, like that in itself is the only title, first off, we've ever had. So to say that is different and fun and exciting. We've always said that when we were supposed to get married in 2020, we wanted to get married, we want to have like 1 to 2 years to be married and then start having kids. And now that we've kind of had the couple
of 1 or 2 years
while we've been waiting, that I think just the conversation of starting to plan our family is actually gonna be at the forefront of our lives after this. And so that's really exciting to me. We both are newly, I'm a new aunt and he's about to be a new uncle. And so the idea of kids is something that's really exciting to me. And I know that's gonna be the next question you guys ask us from here on out. When are the kids? So maybe you'll have to wait another 6 years, but I will say the conversation has started.
But probably not. I think like on the surface, the things that initially attracted me to JoJo, even just on the show, was like, she mentioned how easy things were, her personality, how goofy she is, her humor, like all of those vibed initially. And then the more our relationship's gone on, the more I've gotten to know her, the more, and it sounds cliche, but the more I just love her heart because of how she loves people in her life. And that is something that I know she's gonna be an amazing mother because of how she loves her family. And that's really special to me. So that, I love how hard of a worker she is, how independent she is as well, because she doesn't need me. She wants me in her life, and I love being an addition to her life, but she's so strong and she's so successful on her own as well that it inspires me on a daily basis.
That is sweet. You're making me emotional. I can jump in.
I was gonna keep going, but go ahead, yeah.
You have more?
No,
please do, please do. No, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I love so many things about Jordan, but you know, from the get-go, and again, it sounds cliche, but when you say you're marrying your best friend, it's not somebody that you just love a lot, but it's somebody that you truly enjoy doing every aspect of life with. And I feel like I'm so lucky that I have somebody that I'm obviously attracted to, and we have such a good connection, an emotional connection, but he's the fun part of every part of my day. He's who I go to when I'm stressed, he's who I go to when I'm happy, when I want to celebrate. But also I feel very safe. And that's something that, in a lot of relationships I've had in the past, I didn't always have that feeling. And he makes me feel proud and strong, and he's my biggest support system, and he pushes me to always keep striving for more. And I just feel really lucky. And the way that he loves his mother is something that I've always looked for in a man, because it says a lot about somebody, and the way he loves his family and his friends, and how much genuine friendships mean to him, I think says a lot about your character. And he just has a really good heart, and I'm really lucky.